GamingBolt presents 15 annoying video game bosses that summon endless waves of enemies. Commanders, demons, no matter which game you play, a boss fight is seemingly inevitable. That's the proper thrill of it though. A boss fight is meant to be the culmination of your hero's journey, an epic encounter to cap off the experience. However, there are some boss fights which rely on tough nuts and cookies to crack as often as they do mobs that endlessly spawn. Are they annoying? That depends on you, but there are a good number of battles on here that could be irksome if you didn't dispose of those endless minions during the fight. SKOLAS pre-nerf, Destiny House of Wolves. Before he was nerfed, SKOLAS was one of the single most frustrating bosses to face in Destiny. Not only was he a level higher, thus increasing the damage he dealt while decreasing your own damage, but he had a near-endless supply of minions around him at a time. The mechanics of the fight were also extremely stressful, with mines, the devouring essence, and, oh yeah, solar burn and arc burn modifiers. A patch would make SKOLAS much more manageable, along with having enemies appear at fixed intervals. Clear Sky, Heroic, Tom Clancy's The Division. The boss in The Division's second incursion, Clear Sky, isn't too difficult to take down despite his tankiness and that annoying shield that necessitates flanking. But once you go into challenging or heroic, it becomes a nuisance to deal with the infinity mobs that keep spawning. Sure, Falcon Lost may be more annoying and difficult overall, but it still has a fixed number of mobs during different waves at least. Deacons of the Deep, Dark Souls 3. This particular encounter in Dark Souls 3 isn't difficult at all if you know what you're doing, but the challenge itself lies in fighting off the numerous mobs that swarm you at the same time. Once you locate the glowing red mob that actually takes damage, it's a breeze, but until then, it's a whole lot of crowd slicing. The Guardian of Time, Serious Sam 3. The final boss in Serious Sam 3 is the Guardian of Time, and he doesn't mess around. The mechanics to defeating the Guardian, since he only takes damage when you jump on his back and stick roads in, aren't really explained, and you have to deal with an endlessly spawning amount of enemies. Oh, and there's that sandworm whale that eats you if you wander off. The Ender Dragon, Minecraft. A giant Ender Dragon is admittedly quite terrifying, though he's not that hard to beat if you walk into the end with enhanced items. Having friends also helps. The challenge on top of this is dealing with the endless amount of Endermen that keep spawning. And unlike the Ender Dragon, the Enderman can teleport right on top of you. GLOOMCLAW, WILDSTAR. Like many raid bosses, WILDSTAR's Datascape 20 boss GLOOMCLAW, one of several in the instance, has minions that continuously keep spawning. Sure, you clear them out before taking the boss on, but unless you successfully defeat the minions, you don't count on GLOOMCLAW being damaged, or the instance ending anytime soon. Unless you get wiped out, that is. FIZZIE, final boss in Sunset Overdrive. If you know how to platform and grind, this final boss will be relatively easy to clear. FIZZIE's strength isn't just in the platforming required though. To reach the building itself, you have to help your allies clear off endlessly spawning amounts of enemies. The boss fight itself also has tons of smaller enemies that try to block you on your way to FIZZIE. It's not outright insanity, but they can be annoying, especially with the timer counting down. General RAAM, Gears of War. General RAAM can be an incredibly annoying boss in Gears of War if you're not quite sure what you're doing. And even when you do know what you're doing, it can be hard to tell if you did correctly. RAAM essentially has several krills surrounding him. Arming yourself with a torque bow and punching a hole through the krill will allow you to damage him. The problem is, with reavers constantly coming and the krill regenerating quickly, it can be hard to tell if you're doing this right. The Master, Fallout. Richard Moreau, aka The Master, has it all in Fallout, and it's no joke that the easiest way to beat him is by not fighting at all. If you do choose to go one-on-one with the mutated one, you'll deal with his huge mutant army, his wacky mutated body, and some other mutated stuff that's also probably part of his body. The fact that he has a whole lot of hit points doesn't help. Atheon, Destiny. When Destiny first launched, Atheon was the baddest of the bad, and not just because he could deal a good amount of damage. His ability to split your fire team into two random groups of 3 while constantly spawning supplicants to detonate on those outside was annoying at best, nightmarish at its most buggy. Downing Atheon was a major accomplishment in the old days, especially if you played on hard and weren't level 30. Mr. X, Streets of Rage. You know him, you probably hate him, but taking him down in Streets of Rage offered a neat little high. Mr. X is the big bad of the game and asks you to join him. Be a badass and you'll be rewarded with knockbacks, projectiles, and an endless supply of goons. Still, this is Streets of Rage, and it would seem odd if you didn't beat the tar out of a few dozen more thugs before the game ended. Bowser, Super Mario World. Okay, so Bowser isn't that tough. To be honest, this boss fight is pretty fun, but if you were a kid and had no clue what to do with dying taking you to the beginning of the stage, it was tough trying to figure out what to do with the Mecha Koopas at first, and you could be fighting them forever as a result. The other mechanics, like the huge cannonballs, flames and Bowser's propeller, were nice little change-ups at the end of the day. GARROSH HELLSCREAM, World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria. GARROSH is big, angry, a warsong orc, and doesn't give a damn if the Horde and Alliance band together to fight him. The battle itself is intriguing since you'll fight different forms of GARROSH across different spaces. If you're geared properly, it's not that hard to beat him, but it is worth noting the Warbringers and Wolf Riders that accompany him. Ragnaros, World of Warcraft Cataclysm. Ragnaros is considered one of the best raid bosses that Blizzard ever designed. He had some pretty skinny legs, but he could easily wipe your team out if you weren't careful. Ragnaros was one of the few bosses that would randomly spawn minions that were fairly powerful. Said little nuisances were also entirely capable of ruining your run if given half a chance. Yakma, Age of Conan. As an ice worm that rewarded your fire attacks with paralyzing screams, Yakma was quite the annoying boss to fight. It wasn't just Yakma's pool of health. His minions were almost as tough as him, and even more insultingly, they keep spawning like maggots.
Like this video? Why not give us a like and subscribe? We try and upload amazing videos almost every single day. Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.